what I'd like to share with you is something specific, not going through the material that we've done, but rather just to try and understand perhaps a deeper, different approach to all these things. We understand from what we've looked at that there's this concept of simanim milta, that simanim, that all these different symbols have real benefit to them. They have real substance to them. There's something important that we do. They make our Rosh Hashanah different. When we speak about those things, it brings a certain lightness, it brings a certain positivity to our Rosh Hashanah table. But what's interesting is that all the things that we do are around eating. So I suppose we could say, that's the Jewish way to do it. You do things because we do things around eating because that's what we do. Because as much as we can, we seem to always focus on the eating. But I think it's much bigger than that. And I wondered what it could be. And then I found what's called the Pri Tzadik. The Pri Tzadik, Reb Tzadik HaKohen of Lublin. And Reb Tzadik HaKohen comes and he explains things on a much, much deeper level. We understand, he says, that she'achilot morim lesiman tov, kafi shmotam. The first thing we have to understand is that the things that we eat, the foods that we bring on the night of Rosh Hashanah, they come as a siman tov. They come as a positive sign, kafi shmotam. Each one according to his name. Now, why is it so important? So he says the following: because the Bereshit HaBriah, because at the beginning of the Bria, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave everything life. But the ikar of all life is based on the creation of the world, based on what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did. What did he do? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Zohar tells us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu bo'iraisa uvara alma, that Hashem looked into the Torah and he created the world, which means that every single thing that exists in the world has some aspect of Torah in it. Something around it has something to do with Torah because its essence is from the Torah itself. Even the things that we eat. And because it's even in the things that we eat, says the Pri Tzadik, that afilu ha'achila shehu kiyum ha'chaim haya gam kein divrei Torah. Even eating, even the things that we eat, right, which are the very essence of a person's life, they give us life, they give us energy, they give us all the nutrients that we need, that is also based in Torah. That is also to the extent that the Zohar HaKadosh then continues and says, Nahama d'oraita de bichtav, v'yayna d'oraita de baal peh. We know that there are two very special things that we eat. The one is bread, and the other one is wine. We know that there's a brocha. The brocha tells us that the Mishnah tells us that when a person is going to eat something, you've got to make a bracha. We know that. And we know that if you eat something from the ground, then you make a berei pri adama. If you eat something from the tree, you make a berei pri ha'etz. Except then the Mishnah tells us, except for a couple of things. When you eat bread, you make hamotzi lechem min haaretz, that Hashem brings bread from the ground. And when you drink wine, you say berei pri hagafen, which is strange. So hamotzi lechem min haaretz shows that Hashem brought the bread out of the ground. It's a specific bracha for bread. And when you say wine, you say berei pri ha'etz, which seems to be that the wine is really the essence of the tree. Sorry, berei pri hagafen. So that the wine is the essence of the vine. And because the wine is the essence of the vine, when you drink the wine, you make a special bracha. Because bread and wine are special. The Zohar says bread represents the Torah shebichtav, the Torah, the written Torah, the one that we haven't read from for so long. And the wine represents the Torah shebaal peh, the oral Torah. And that's the Torah that we've been experiencing whilst we've been in lockdown. And comes along the Pri Tzadik and he says, Ve'achar ha'kilkul. So you've got to remember, you know what it is that destroyed the world as it's in its beautiful pureness after creation? You know what destroyed it? It was simply achila. It was eating. We know that the nachash, the snake, offers Chava this fruit. Chava eats the fruit and gives Adam the fruit to eat. And taking that fruit inside their bodies by eating it, that is what destroyed the world as it was, the pristine, beautiful world of Gan Eden. That what happened is what eating did is that it mixed up that which is pure good, that which is pure not so good, tov vara, and then Mikol makom, shemagia hayontav shel Rosh Hashanah, when Yontif of Rosh Hashanah comes on, and what's so special about the Yontif of Rosh Hashanah is that, we say Rosh Hashanah is the anniversary of the creation of the world. And it is. But the real beginning of the creation of the world happened when? On the 25th of Ellul. That's 5 days before Rosh Hashanah. Because Rosh Hashanah itself is actually the 6th day of creation. It's the day of the creation of Adam Arishon, of Chava. It's the day of the Kilkul, of where they messed up with the snake. It's the day of everything that happened. But when we blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, we say Hayom Harat Haolam, that this is the day of the birthing of the world. And so therefore, on this Rosh Hashanah, what we have to do, and while everything is focused on the things that we eat on the night of Rosh Hashanah, is that we have to take things that are food, lezakot lit'om rak mehatov. And when we take those foods, we take them and we look at them in a certain way. We look at them in a way in which we can get brocha. We have an apple. An apple's a lovely thing. It's not the greatest fruit in the whole world. Nobody would say that. Some people don't even like apples so much. But we take an apple and we dip it in honey. And we say, because we see that within the apple there is the sweetness. We don't worry about it. It's got some bruises or stuff. Not on the night of Rosh Hashanah. On the night of Rosh Hashanah, we're looking for the tov, the goodness in everything. Why? Because on the night of Rosh Hashanah is the ability for us to go back thousands of years when Adam Arishon was created, and to say, Adam Arishon, your eating created a mixture between good and bad. But our eating tonight is we eat all these different things, and there's so many different things. And what is amazing, by the way, that many of the things that we eat are actually things, according to, if you look through the list that the Shulchan Aruch brings, are also things that we find in the Charoset on Pesach. It's sweet. It's part of what it means to be Am Yisrael, is to be the sweetness, to look at things that are what? That are tov. And so therefore, when we eat these things that have this tovness in it, the sweetness in it, what we're trying to do is to make and to shape the night of Rosh Hashanah into something sweet. And comes along the Pri Tzaddik and continues, and he says, "Va'ashemot mikol davar moreh al shorish hachayim sheyesh b'davar hazeh." Says you have to understand that the names of things that we have show and project their essence, the very essence of what they are, the very root of the life force that is in those things. And that's why one of the reasons we saw that one of the things we eat is the rosh. We eat the head of a goat. We eat the head of a fish, depending what you want to do. Each person can eat whatever they want. We in our house we eat the head of a fish. I'm not so into the goat's head size. Some people don't even like the head of a fish, and so they get those nice little marshmallow fishes, which are which are nice and sweet and wonderful. And they say Tia rosh v'lo zanav, because we're taking the shoresh, the very root of a fish head, of the rosh of a dog, or the rosh of an animal, and saying it's in here that we can find incredible brocha to be the head. When we take a ruvia, we say we use the word and we find its essence is about multiplying. Its essence is about finding goodness in things. But the strange thing is, what happened with this apple? We don't say anything, no pun in the name of the apple. We take the apple, we dip it into honey, and we say, it doesn't seem to have any indication whatsoever of the name. And if that's the case, why do we bring an apple? So we need to understand that the apple plays an important role with throughout Am Yisrael. There's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim which says Tachat tapuach oraticha, which means that it was under the apple trees that Bnei Yisrael were able to build the Jewish people, because the wives of the slaves were able to encourage their husbands to have children with them, right, under the apple trees. And the children were born under the apple trees. And the apple tree, therefore, is a symbol of Bnei Yisrael's resilience. It's a symbol of our ability to overcome the negativity in the world that we experience and to grow and to become great. But there's something else about that. Shana Tova Umetuka. The first time in the Torah that we hear the word matok is in a fascinating place. We all know there's the story, Bnei Israel leave Mitzrayim. They cross the sea. they take all the gold that they had got from the Egyptians at the sea. Moshe Rabbeinu says, come guys, we've got to go. And they go and they walk for 3 days and they can't find any water. And eventually they come to this place where there's a lot of water, but the water is very bitter. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, Kadosh Baruch Hu, what am I supposed to do? They're crying and fetching, they haven't got water. And Hashem shows him a tree, and he takes this tree and he puts it into the water. And when he puts it into the water becomes sweet. Vayim teku hamayim. And says the Pri Tzaddik, that we have the ability to take that which is sweet, which is the apple, and the honey, which is also sweet, and bring them into our beginning of the year to sweeten our entire year. In the same way as those bitter waters became sweet, so too the bitterness of the year that we've been through is going to become sweet, please God, as we take that apple and we dip it in honey and we say, Shetechadesh aleinu shana tova umetuka. Why? Because what we are seeing in the apple is that which is good in it, its ability to sweeten. What we are seeing in the ruvia and all these different things is the positive in those things. And that's why Chazal tell us that on Rosh Hashanah we've got to be careful. The way we speak, what we say, how we say it, what we do around our tables, because it sets the tone for the year. How does it set the tone for the year? Because if we understand that the Torah was created, that the world was created on day 1 on the 25th of Ellul, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Vayehi or, there must be or. And he looked at that or, and what did he say about that or? Vayar Elokim et ha'or ki tov. He said that or is tov. So when we say Shana Tova Umetuka, we're saying we can change and make this year an incredibly sweet year, but at the same time we're saying it's a Shana Tova, it's got to be a year that's filled with that light. What's that light? It's the light of relationships, it's the light of warmth, it's the light of love, it's the light of coming together as families and coming together, please God, as community for the first time in many, many months. And in that way, please God, we will all be blessed with a Shana Tova or Mitzuka, a year that will no longer be the bitterness of this Corona experience that we've had, but rather will go into the light of Torah, the light of togetherness, the light of community. Thank you, everybody, for being here, for learning Torah together with your children. It's really a schus. Don't underestimate it. Please continue every week, Wednesday night at the same time. God bless everybody. Have a wonderful evening and a wonderful week and beautiful Shabbos.